Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kelsey Kiesling.
And I'm Kendra Cook. The Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news, and Dolores County Broadcasting Network provides the support for DCTV.
Here at the News at Noon show, we assemble the best and most interesting news from the area, and Jerry Tope brings you the local weather and related news. Give us a call with news tips or topics you'd like to see covered. The number is 677-4119.
We're glad you tuned in to watch DCTV. Today's show is live on Tuesday at noon and rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. and again re-aired on Friday at noon, 3 and 6.
Coming up, Recapture Canyon captures national attention, swift cops in Durango capture car thief, and more.
And also, sex sting is stung. Water rights bill floats through to another week with weather, the sheriff's report, and area happenings. Today is April 11th, 2017, and now the news at noon. Recapture Canyon near Blanding, Utah has come to the attention of on a national scale. Reported by AP and various other area sources, such as the Four Corners Free Press, new action was taken Monday by the U.S. Interior Secretary. The background on this canyon issue is that the state of Utah added a 9.22-mile, quote, road through Recapture Canyon to a list of 12,000 routes it was seeking to wrest from federal ownership. Many local area residents had shown that the trail had been used and was in existence for quite some time and wanted to keep recreational access available to motorized vehicles. The archaeologically rich canyon outside of Blanding, which federal authorities closed to motorized use 10 years ago, was the scene of the 2014 ATV protest ride that resulted in the criminal convictions of San Juan County Commissioner Phil Lyman and Monticello City Council member Monte Wells. The new U.S. Interior Secretary Ryan Zink lifted a ban Monday on motorized vehicles in some parts of the canyon. The decision opens nearly 7 miles of trails for motorized vehicles at the north end of Recapture Canyon and the canyon's west rim. But ATVs still won't be allowed to travel the entire length of the canyon, including sensitive riparian areas on the canyon floor, where some of the people rode in the protest ride, according to Lisa Bryant, a Bureau of Land Management spokeswoman. Providing recreation access on public lands is important, and disabled people can't get around without motorized vehicles, Zink said in a news release on Monday. The move marks a shift from previous administrations that banned ATVs without further consideration. The U.S. government had previously closed 1,871 acres of the canyon area to motorized vehicles because of damage caused by unauthorized trail construction and alleged damage to the archaeological sites. Zink said the design of the trails and other measures will protect cliff dwellings and natural sites important to wildlife. That May 2014 protest ride was organized shortly after Nevada rancher Cliven Bundy had a standoff with federal officials over similar issues of federal management over local administration rights. San Juan County Commissioner Phil Lyman, who was convicted of trespassing in the Utah ride, became a cause celeb in the movement. Lyman said Monday that Zink's decision is very vindicating and brings some U.S. government recognition that the trail in the canyon is a road and opens the door for San Juan County's pending legal claims that the county has a right to the ownership of the road. Lyman has appealed his conviction to the Denver-based 10th Circuit Court of Appeals. The court has not yet ruled on the appeal. Lyman said Zink's decision on Recapture Canyon also bodes well for local officials who are calling for President Donald Trump to rescind the recent declaration of Bears Ears National Monument in the area. A coalition of tribes pushed for President Barack Obama to designate the monument, but Lyman, state lawmakers, and Governor Gary Herbert have called it overly broad and said it closes off access. Zink has shown pretty clearly that he is willing to look at the realities of these situations, Lyman said. Matthew Gross with the Southern Utah Wilderness Alliance said the order is, quote, a reasonably balanced approach, and his organization wants to ensure that cultural resources near ATV routes are not disturbed.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, a Farmington man was sentenced Monday to 10 years in federal prison for his role in a child sex sting, the same sting that resulted in probation for 5 other men arrested for similar conduct. The difference? He traveled across state lines. It is for that detail that Jason Yazzie Chi, 40, was charged in federal court rather than state court. And under federal sentencing guidelines, Chi faced 12.5 to 15.5 years in prison, which was reduced to 10 years because of a motion filed by his public defender to reduce sentencing parameters. Chi pleaded guilty December 5th to traveling with intent to engage in illicit sexual conduct. In a statement to the court, Chi said he was humiliated, embarrassed, and ashamed by his decision to call an escort. He said he wanted companionship but lacked confidence and self-esteem to start a relationship. Chi said he's a recovering alcoholic and he didn't want to relapse by going to bars to meet women. He made little mention of soliciting minors, saying he thought he was answering an ad for an adult escort. "I'm very remorseful of what I've put myself in," he said. Of all 6 men arrested during the 3-day sting, she appears to have gone the furthest in carrying out the illegal acts before being arrested.
The Durango Sheriff's Department swiftly moves to arrest a man connected with a car theft. According to the Durango Herald, a Durango man was arrested on suspicion of vehicle theft less than 24 hours after the car was reported missing. Wayne Rocha, 42, was being held Monday at the La Plata County Jail on suspicion of motor vehicle theft, possession of burglary tools, driving without a valid driver's license, and possession of drug paraphernalia, said Jacob Dunlop with the Durango Police Department. The 2013 Subaru Impreza was reported stolen about 8:30 a.m. on Sunday on Avenida del Sol in West Durango. About 11:30 p.m. Sunday, Officer Andrew Bilstein was on regular patrol when he observed a vehicle matching the description of the stolen vehicle with the same license plate, Dunlop said. Officer Bilstein pulled the car over, but the driver tried to exit the vehicle as if to flee, Dunlop said. Officers held him at gunpoint before arresting him without further incident. Rocha, who was being held on $10,000 bail, was in possession of burglary tools, but as of Monday, he's not linked to other car thefts.
Reported by the Durango Herald, Colorado lawmakers are trying to streamline the process for water rights owner to go through to enter into short-term leases with municipalities. To estimate how much water they are entitled to, a rights owner must undergo an engineering analysis that can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. That is considered the most accurate assessment of the historic consumptive use of the rights. House Bill 1289, which would extend a pilot program to that streamlines the assessment of consumptive use and could ease the financial impact on water rights owners by simplifying the process, was heard by the House Agriculture, Livestock, and Natural Resources Committee Monday. It was laid over until next week while lawmakers consider the impacts of the program. Representative Chris Hansen, Democrat of Denver, said the program has proven to be a way to save money on the front end for water rights users in the Arkansas River Valley, where it was first implemented. The aim is to cut down on incidents of buy and dry, where a farmer sells his or her water rights to a municipality and loses the resource critical to cultivating the land. Simplifying the process will make it easier for farmers to lease their water rights over a short term rather than racking up vast sums of debt from engineering analysis and court costs arguing over the exact consumptive use of their rights. While it is uncertain if there would be bipartisan support for the bill in the House, it is sponsored by Senator Don Coram, Republican of Montrose, in the Senate.
Mancos is changing, and along with that growth comes the need for more housing opportunities, according to an article in the Cortez Journal. A housing study commissioned by the town of Mancos bolsters the case for bringing more housing to the area, town board members learned at an April 5th workshop meeting. Town Administrator Andrea Phillips agrees with the findings. The board commissioned the study from Denver-based firm Pryor and Associates. The project cost was $10,000, and the Colorado Department of Local Affairs reimbursed half of the cost to the town. The 100-page report includes information about housing trends and needs for the town and surrounding Mancos Valley, as well as details on the area's economy and demographics. The study primarily looks at Mancos and surrounding valley, including Weber Canyon, Mesa Verde National Park, and the foothills of the La Plata Mountains northeast of town. That area has about 3,400 residents. It also considers most of Montezuma and La Plata counties as a larger study area, with about 82,000 residents. Population in the Mancos Valley grew 1.4% each year between 2000 and 2010, according to the study. Between 2010 and 2017, the population grew about 1.1% each year. The study predicts that the population will follow that growth trend over the next 5 years, rising about 1.3% each year. That would mean about 3,600 people would be living in the area by 2022. About 71% of homes in the Mancos area were built between 1970 and 2010, according to the study. Another 20% were built before World War II. Development has stagnated over the last decade, and less than 1% of homes in the area were built during that time. To accommodate population growth, Montezuma and La Plata counties will need an additional 865 new rental units over the next 5 years, the study suggests. 5 new rental developments are planned or have been proposed in the area, which would add about 354 units. More than 500 units still are needed, though, according to the study. The Mancos area can absorb 62 new rental units in the next 5 years, with about 22 of those for seniors. An overwhelming 84% of Mancos' residents work outside the town, according to the study. Because Mancos has lower housing prices than Durango, Mancos attracts people who work in Durango but are looking for a lower cost of living. Phillips said the area definitely sees that, with people from La Plata County increasing the demand for housing in Mancos. Mayor Queenie Bars said she worried that since people from La Plata County make higher wages than those in Montezuma County, they can afford more expensive housing in Mancos and are pricing out locals. Town trustee Ed Hallam suggested exploring alternative housing options, such as sweat equity homes, in which buyers build a portion of the home in exchange for a reduced down payment. He said the housing study would be crucial information for people who might want to develop housing in Mancos.
According to the Durango Herald, long-term use of aspirin is associated with lower risk of dying from various types of cancers, including colorectal, lung, breast, and prostate cancer, according to a study presented at the 2017 American Association for Cancer Research annual meeting. The longitudinal study analyzed the association of aspirin with varied doses and duration of use on overall mortality risks and mortality risks from cancer over a nearly 32-year period. Previous studies have shown that aspirin prevents cardiovascular disease and some types of cancer, particularly colorectal cancer, and seems to reduce the risk of dying from cancer. This large study with long-term follow-up was one of the first to examine the potential benefits of different doses and durations of aspirin use. Researchers followed 86,206 women in the Nurses' Health Study from 1980 to 2012 and 43,977 men in the Health Professionals Follow-Up Study from 1986 to 2012. Baseline aspirin use was recorded, and then researchers followed up on aspiring use every 2 years after that. Reductions in overall mortality risks and mortality risk from cancer were observed at dosages of aspirin ranging from half a standard aspirin tablet per week to 7 tablets per week. Benefits on cancer mortality were observed for people who took 0.5 to 1.5 standard tablets per week. People who took 2 to 7 tablets per week had an even greater risk reduction in cancer mortality. However, people who took more than 7 tablets appear to have substantially fewer benefits. The dose response was not linear, Seo said. Researchers hypothesized that the reduction in mortality risk from cancer was because of the anticoagulant and anti-inflammatory properties of aspirin. The anticoagulant property that prevents clots from forming in the body might also prevent cancerous cells that break away from tumors from sticking to other areas in the body and growing into metastatic tumors. The anti-inflammatory property of aspirin might also prevent tumor growth. And now here's our weather report.
Last night's low was just 1 degree higher than the day before at 22 degrees. Tonight promises to be nearly 16 degrees warmer, still at 38 degrees. We'll see. Patterns are on track with yesterday's forecast, and the warming trend is to continue. Thursday, forecast to be 10 degrees above seasonal normals, will be the warmest day. Tomorrow, a Pacific trough moving in on the coast will result in southwesterly winds. Today and Thursday will see winds between 5 and 15 miles per hour, with Wednesday between 5 and 10. And mostly sunny conditions will prevail for the week. The cold front stretching from central Texas northeast through the upper Great Lakes will move eastward for a few days. Along and ahead of this front, an area of decent moisture will produce showers and thunderstorms. Severe thunderstorms are possible across parts of Texas and the central Gulf Coast region. Also, some flash flooding in those same areas. Areas of heavy rainfall are likely near the front's southern boundary. Several inches of rainfall will be possible with the slowest moving storms, and southern Texas has the best chance for this. After a brief break in the weather across the west coast, a more potent system will reach shore by midweek. This one will be the cause of widespread rain from northern California to the Pacific Northwest and northern Great Basin starting this afternoon and evening. More heavy snow will be likely for the highest mountains, especially the Cascades. A cold front approaching the eastern states today will bring scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms by tomorrow. Some high temperature records, including record high minimums, may be met or exceeded across parts of the Northeast today. Shower and thunderstorm chances increase across the southern and central states ahead of another developing system. Yesterday's 5-day was promising mid-60s to lower 70s, and today is just a few degrees warmer, going from upper 60s still into the lower 70s. Lows promise for tonight to finally get above freezing, even though last night was expected to be warmer than it actually was. It seems likely that tonight will be noticeably warmer. Now back to the news.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, a Mancos art collector will donate a rare set of ceremonial Hopi wedding robes to the Center of Southwest Studies at Fort Lewis College. Kilgore collects Native American artifacts from all over the Southwest and sells them in her shop. Her parents were traders at Tuba City on the Navajo Nation starting in the 1950s. Kilgore's mother acquired the set of robes several decades ago. The set, which is from the mid-20th century, is complete with a wedding robe, a pair of moccasins, a black and red sash, a burial robe, and a reed suitcase that holds the burial robe. Shelby Tisdale, director of the Center of Southwest Studies, said the set is special because it is complete and has evidence that it was worn during an actual Hopi wedding ceremony. Kelly Kilgore, owner of Kilgore American Indian Art in Mancos, said the cotton robes are hand-woven by the men in the community and are used during weddings.
Most responsible scientists agree that global warming is occurring. Laying aside all arguments as to how much of the cause is attributable to each factor, let's consider another angle. Prudent people will take action to prevent trouble for themselves if enough evidence indicates trouble is on the way. Rather like looking before you cross the street. If you see a lot of traffic coming in your direction, you estimate their speed and what yours must be in order to cross safely. Now let's add to that your young child and your spouse, and the math and estimations become a bit more critical if you care, as opposed to don't care and cry, fend for yourselves, run for your life. Whoever gets to the other side will go to McDonald's to lunch. Sometimes preparation and research planning pay off. Phoenix has an average temperature in August that now exceeds 104 degrees, and 110 is not uncommon. Only about 11% of the city is covered by trees, and it's a very sprawled out city. Emissions and heat and also water are challenges for the city. Phoenix would not exist if it were not for canals built by the Civilian Conservation Corps under Franklin Delano Roosevelt's administration during the Depression, and even earlier that great dam built during Theodore Roosevelt's time. Nick Roosevelt, a great-great-grandson of Franklin D., is now a resilience coordinator for the city. Roosevelt also knows that his ancestors' efforts to settle the Southwest helped create some of the challenges he's now trying to address. Dove Creek and Dolores County historians tell of a number of early residents and settlers here who traveled there to work on those projects. Roosevelt said, this is Nick Roosevelt, said arguments can be made that people should not live in the desert or along the coast. If they didn't live there, likely they would live here. A city which has planned and prepared and is still trying to continue that pattern, Phoenix can tell a remarkable story of steadily improving conservation. As the population has soared over the last half-century, the region now uses slightly less water than it did in the 60s. It also has a formidable supply saved in an elaborate underground storage system created in the 1980s. When California went almost screaming nutty with drought anxiety last year, Phoenix passed through the same conditions almost without notice. They only get about 8 inches of rain in a year there. But the Colorado River and the Salt River are at risk for longer droughts in years to come. Nick Roosevelt also said, but people are there, and what are we going to do about it? Tom Bushatsky, director of the Arizona Department of Water Resources, says we don't have as much water to put underground as we used to. And we see the handwriting on the wall, and that's going to continue. Traffic and the handwriting on the wall can both be seen if we just look. Science is the magnifying glass and generally leads to stoplights and such, also water storage management and etc. Let them continue or be roadkill, drought kill, or whatever without even seeing it coming or not. Seeing it can make the difference between being screaming nutty or just crossing the road. Alive, that is the hope. Make the hope worth making some sort of an investment, is it not?
According to the Durango Herald, there's a big string attached to New York's free middle-class college tuition initiative. Students must stay in the state after graduation or else pay back the benefit. Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo said Monday that the requirement was added to protect the state's investment in a student's education by ensuring they don't take advantage of free tuition and then leave New York. The rule wasn't a part of Cuomo's free college tuition proposal when he unveiled it in January, but was inserted during final negotiations with lawmakers over the state budget, which was approved Sunday. The tuition initiative, which Cuomo said is a national model, covers state college or university tuition for in-state students from families earning $125,000 or less. Students must remain in New York for as many years as they receive the benefit. They must repay the money as a loan if they take a job in another state. Students who receive free tuition and then leave the state for an advanced degree won't have to pay the money back, assuming they return to New York once they complete their graduate studies. State officials also plan to make accommodations for graduates who leave the state for military service. As part of the budget, lawmakers also approved a new tuition assistance program for students at private colleges and universities that offers up to $3,000 in tuition grants. That assistance also comes with a requirement that a student remain in New York after graduation for the same number of years they received the benefit.
Local small breweries can really add an attraction to a small rural town. This is true in Mancos, where the Mancos Brewery has grown out of its space and is moving. From the Cortez Journal report, Montezuma County Commissioners on Monday approved a liquor license permit for the Mancos Brewing Company. The brewery plans to move to 484 East Frontage Road from its current location at 500 West Railroad Avenue. The new location is just outside limits, so the brewery needed approval from the county. Co-owner Kathy Hands told the commissioners they plan to make the move by the end of May. It's very exciting, she said. No one spoke for or against the license during a public hearing at the commissioners' regular meeting on Monday. Commissioners Larry Don Sukla and Keenan Ertel voted to approve the license. Commissioner James Lambert was absent. The new location is about 4 times bigger than the current pub on a 2-acre property, co-owner Dwayne Jackson told the Journal in March. Alpaca Rafts formerly occupied the building and has moved to a new downtown location. The outdoor patio at the new location also will be 4 or 5 times larger than the current pub's outdoor seating area, Jackson said. There will be a stage both indoors and outdoors, and there will be live music year-round. Jackson also will be upgrading his brewing system from 1.5 barrels to 7. The brewery has 6 house beers that are continuously on tap, and Jackson plans to add 1 or 2 more to the lineup with the move to the larger brewing system. At the commission meeting, Ertel mentioned some neighbors of the new location had concerns about noise. Hands said the brewery will have live music at least 1 night per week. She said the brewery's regular hours will be open from noon until 9 p.m., but they may close earlier or later depending on how much business they are doing.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of April 3rd through the 9th. A town resident called to report an IRS phone scam. A county resident reported incidents of vandalism to property signage and gates. Deputies will be monitoring the situation. While on routine patrol, a deputy noticed a door open on a commercial property. The deputy secured the building after investigating and finding no foul play. A county resident requested an animal welfare check. A resident reported horses loose near the highway. A deputy investigated and noticed the fence was damaged. That's it for today's Roundup. Stay tuned for continuing updates.
For today's High Country happenings, the Telluride Mountain Film is on tour in Dolores on April 21st at Friday at 6 p.m. Held at the Dolores Community Center, it will be a night of award-winning films, an auction, food, and drink. For more details, go to DoloresRiverFestival.org. at the Sunflower Theater in Cortez on April 15th at 7:30 p.m. for a $15 entrance fee. They'll be presenting Ponder the Albatross. Formed in the Front Range of Colorado, Ponder the Albatross plays a variety of different genres of original music with a little bit of everything. They are an experimental folk rock brass band with a variance of fiddle, drums, bass, and mandolin guitar depending on the song. Ponder the Albatross is a very original and high-energy band with original songs from reggae to trippy instrumental to folk rock to bluegrass, and cover songs varying from Queens of the Stone Age to Reggae Shark that will keep the crowd up and having a good time on the dance floor. One of the best up-and-coming bands around, they say. And in the not-so-fun but very helpful event listing, the City of Cortez is hosting a Community Cleanup Day Saturday, April 29th from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. Participants will receive a free t-shirt and lunch. To sign up, email cleanup@cityofcortez.com, or questions can be directed to 970-565-4048 or ncooley@cityofcortez.com. All of the happenings are posted up on our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with the embedded YouTube replays, weather, and original stories and local posts. To share your event or information, contact us. The email is dcbnnews@gmail.com, or call the station 677-4119, and we'll be sure to get your news on air.
Thanks for tuning in. This program is live at noon Monday through Wednesday, then it is rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. and again re-aired Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the same order at noon, 3, and 6.
We're also featuring a live call-in show called Talk Tuesday. It's aired live Tuesday evenings at 5:30 p.m. and then rebroadcast throughout the week at 5:30 p.m. Tonight's guest is Crystal Holly, representing Dove Creek's Rock, R-O-C-K, nonprofit. They're hosting the big Easter Egg Dash this Saturday, April 15th, and we'll talk about all of the charitable programs they're involved with. And don't miss our Facebook page. It has all the links and details and on-demand video replays. Please like us there and share the link.
For Kendra Cook, Jerry Tope, and everyone at DCTV with the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. Thanks for watching.